What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Birds of the Roundtable, Week 2 Eagles training camp. We're breaking it all down, getting you ready for Eagles versus Ravens in just a few days. Joining me, he is David. Go give him a shout out on X at PHA Eagle News. What's up, David?
Doing great, man. Finally get to talk about a game. We got a game every week for the next 5 months. It's crazy.
Oh, man. It's going to be so much fun, dude. And we got to lead off before we get into Stock Watch. You were there. You were at training camp. Any, quick reaction to that?
Yeah, I mean, I would say if one observation is the vibe is just completely different. There is happiness everywhere. I guess a lot of the social media things people have seen now, like with Jalen driving the cart around with the coach and everything else. But on Monday, it was hot as Hades out there, man. It was like 95 degrees. And a lot of the beat writers who were beside me said that was the type of day that you normally see brawls and fights, on the 1-on-1s because the temperatures just, make everyone angry, for lack of a better word. But they didn't have any of that, man. Everything is just smooth sailing. There's just everybody's, very, very accommodating to everyone else and encouraging. Jason Kelsey was there. He was constantly walking over to Juergens and giving them advice. And I don't know, man. It's just a different vibe than normal. Everything, I don't know. It's almost too good to be true, but I guess you won't really know until you see him play a game. But it looks really good so far.
Man, I can't wait for Friday. It cannot get here soon enough, man. So what are we doing tonight? We're talking Stock Watch. We're going to update our rankings from last week. We're going to get into our top names to watch on Friday. We're going to talk players with the most to win or gain from Friday, players with the most to lose, and then we're going to just wrap it up quickly with our final question: what constitutes a successful preseason number one for the Birds? Let's start off with quarterback here, David. Jalen Hurts up.
He's way up.
Yeah, I know. I wish I could have another column here because he's put together one hell of a training camp. The speed, he's hitting guys. He's got chemistry with some other guys that we're going to be talking a lot about tonight. That personally I didn't see coming. Kenny Pickett's trending up. Is he still trending
up? I don't know, man. I think it's still a battle between him and McKee. I would have said it 2 days ago that it was Kenny Pickett was probably trending up, but I'd put him in neutral now.
I like it.
I still think he'll probably win QB2, but I don't think it's as sure a thing as it was, 7 days ago when we first discussed this.
I'm good with that. I'm excited to watch Tanner McKee, man. I feel like we don't talk about him enough.
Yeah, I agree.
Not just some camp body, man. Tanner McKee's got a good arm. I think he's a really good fit with Kellen Moore. Have you heard anything about Will Grier? I have not.
No, in fact, I guess he was there, but I didn't even see him. And literally, I didn't. I don't believe he got any reps at the practices I was at. I didn't see him at all.
That was literally the case week 1. Should we bump him down?
Yeah, yeah. I would say he's definitely probably on his way down there. But yeah, I didn't even see him. Yeah, McKee, I thought looked pretty good. And this is his time of year. He flourished in a preseason game last year. I can't remember which game it was, maybe the Browns game. Yeah. But he drew a lot of attention and got a lot of attention on himself in that game. So this is his time to shine. If he's going to try to make a move on Pickett, this is it.
All right. Let's roll on to running back. We had Saquon up, Kenny Gainwell up, and Will Shipley up with Kendall Milton. And I think it's Tyrion Davis-Price, his name, as neutral. Any movers, shakers there?
I would say Shipley is probably more neutral, if I had to say. He struggled a little bit in pass protection at the practices I saw. Nakobe Dean steamrolled him one time, which was a little concerning. And Kendall Milton, they on the red zone touchdown work that they were doing, they start at the 5, so it's not like they're at the 20. But he got in 2 touchdowns Monday, so okay. He looked pretty good.
Let's do it.
He's a north and south kind of guy. He's not gonna get to the outside a lot, but yeah, he did pretty good on some inside runs.
Yeah, we'll be talking about Will Shipley in just a minute. Haven't heard much about this guy. Just leave him at neutral. Yeah. All right, let's roll on to wide receiver. I mean, just like Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, way up. And I would probably say Britton Covey's up, right? Like he looks like a lock.
Definitely, yeah.
All right, I'm going to move Covey up. And then we had Paris Campbell up and Johnny Wilson up. That's all the same?
Paris Campbell's not even practicing, so he's definitely down. He's hurt, which is sadly the theme of his career. He's so much talent, man, but he just can't seem to stay healthy. Johnny Wilson has maybe passed both Campbell and Ross. I mean, he is looking.
So. Wow.
He's looking really good, and he's got the support of QB1. Jalen Hurts shouted him out twice after practice. I mean, and he didn't have to do that. It was unsolicited shout outs. So I think Johnny Wilson is trending up. Aeneas Smith, he struggled a little bit, but it's hard for me to say much about him because he came into camp hurt. He's kind of been behind the 8 ball, but he hasn't really done a lot. But on the same hand, they used a 5th round pick on him. It would be a little surprising to see him bail.
Yeah, well, look at Clayton Thorson.
Right, they'll do it. They'll definitely do it, but it would be a little surprising.
Yeah, you talk about Johnny Wilson. That was the little segment about Jalen Hurts. That was what I was referring to. The fact that him and Jalen Hurts have chemistry in training camp, where he threw the ball a little bit behind him, and Johnny Wilson was able to adjust and beat Keely Ringo in the end zone, like things like that, man. You love to see. You love to hear all that kind of stuff.
And you can tell their personalities mesh well. They're hanging out. They're joking on the sidelines. It's just a good vibe. Like I said earlier, it's different. Both of them are still up, in my opinion.
We should probably take out McCollum Castles.
Yeah, he can go down.
He's done. He's gone, man.
I think they'll try to find him on IR. I think they'll try to do that eventually, but yeah.
Okay. Should I keep him on there then?
No, I mean, he is gone right now, so take him off.
Yeah. Goodbye. DJ Uzoma, I have not heard anything. Like, he's a guy that I thought would get a lot of opportunity due to his blocking, and I think maybe Johnny Wilson might take some of that, like 1.5 tight end role, so kind of thing, due to his run blocking. But Uzoma, are you still down with him being trending down?
I mean, I think he's going to be tight end 3 because I think he's outplayed Albert. But yeah, I mean, I think Calcaterra firmly has tight end 2.
Yeah, that looks like a lock right now. Which I don't know if I should be happy about or crying.
He looked pretty good. He's catching everything thrown at him.
Is he?
Again, I think he was always a good pass catcher. It's just how's he going to do in the blocking schemes and things like that.
Exactly. All right, let's roll on to our interior offensive linemen. We had Cam Jurgens up. Landon Dickerson was neutral due to the injury. Then we had, is that Becton? No, Becton was up. I think we can move Becton down, right?
Yeah, he can be neutral. He was sick. He missed a game, and I still think the competition between him and Tyler Steen is probably neck and neck. I think it won't be determined until you see preseason games. They might come down to the end.
It looks like a 55-45 Becton over Steen right now. Like, what's your take on the right guard position? Because heading into this training camp, I was really worried about Cam Jurgens, not necessarily the athleticism and the talent, but between the ears and being able to read this guy's blitzes and handle that role that we take for granted with Jason Kelsey. But I'm more concerned now about right guard. No one's coming out winning this thing.
No, they're not. Steen didn't even practice Monday. I don't know if he did today, but he was dressed, so he was actively watching, which he wasn't even doing that prior to that. So, I mean, but yeah, I would think you said 55 Becton. Yeah, maybe. I think it's really, really close. I don't think anybody's ran away with it.
Question: is there any chance that Becton or Steen play on Friday?
I would say if anybody did, it was Becton. I don't see any way Steen does. He's been hurt for 5 days. I don't see it happening.
Okay. All right,
Even
roll on.
Toth had a couple
Yeah, that's
reps.
a guy. I like that. That's a guy that's definitely making some noise.
He will play Friday.
Yeah.
And he's been around for 5 years. Stoutland clearly sees something in him that nobody else ever does, but
Mm-hmm.
he wouldn't keep coming back if they didn't like him.
Jeff Stoutland, we trust, man.
Yeah. If he likes him, we love him.
Absolutely. Let's roll into tackle. Lane Johnson, Mailata there, neutral. Trying to think who that guy. Who is that? Is that Fred Johnson? I think that's Fred Johnson.
Yeah, I guess it would have to be. Yeah, he's.
I made this so long ago. All right. Fred Johnson was trending down.
Which this is the reason why I sometimes think Steen's going to win that job at right guard, because Becton is your fourth swing tackle. They really don't have another guy.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who that other name is.
Aneem?
No, that's not. Aneem is at the very end.
Yeah, that's what I thought you were talking about.
No, I'm trying to think who is that one. The one that was trending up. Is that Darren Kennard? Maybe.
Yes.
Darren Kennard kind of came out of nowhere.
Up.
Yeah. Seems
he's probably neutral, but
okay, we'll move him down. I'm good with that.
I don't know that they'll keep more than 4 tackles. I mean,
yeah,
that's why I always kind of go back to Steen might win that job.
All right,
Nolan Smith up.
Nolan Smith, we had up. Jalix Hunt, should we move him up?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he's impressing people. If nothing else, he's showed off his speed. And Bryce Huff has looked really good in coverage, but he struggled at the practice I was at.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Huff looked great in coverage, but he's struggling a little bit in getting pressure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's from the extra workload. I don't know what it is, but they're gonna need that from him in order for them to have a pass rush this season. Nolan Smith comes out like a maniac every day, so he looked pretty good.
Let's just leave it at that. We're going to be talking about this position a lot moving forward.
Yeah.
Tonight, defensive tackle Jalen Carter way up. Are you still good with? I mean, Jordan Davis, I think, has had an overall very good camp. Is that your take?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
All right.
Milton Williams has been good all camp too. Really, I mean, he looked really good. I think the guy all the way to the right is probably trending up as well.
That's Gabe Hall, right?
Oh no, I'm looking for Morrow.
Is that a Morrow or a Jomo?
No, that's not Morrow. You're right. That one's Gabe Hall. That one is.
This is Gabe Hall on the far right.
Right. The next one is Marlon.
Yeah, Marlon Tui Piloto.
Yeah, I don't even see Morrow on here.
Yeah, he should be on here.
Yeah, and his arrow is up. He has the personality and the talent to become a fan favorite. His attitude is perfect for the position. He looks like he could have a breakout season. He's disruptive on every single play, man. He's definitely trending up.
Let's put him on here. He's got to be.
He's probably DT4 at this point. I think he's probably past Marlon.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about Ajomo a lot tonight. All right, there we go. Let's move him up. Gabe Hall, I haven't heard much about. That's a guy that I was hoping to surprise. It's a shame, but let's roll on to our next position, and that is linebacker. We had Bond and Devin White up. We had Jeremiah Trotter, N'Kobe Dean neutral. Ben Van Sumeren, is that Ben Van Sumeren?
Yeah.
We had him up. Is he still up in your book?
He's up because he's probably taking Oren Burks' spot on the 53. And yeah, you're right. Trotter is up.
Trotter up.
He's definitely up. He's looked very solid versus the run.
It's like him and Johnny Wilson, two guys that I didn't really expect much out the gate, and they're turning some heads. That's really nice. We'll get into that very soon. Cornerback, Darius Slay neutral, Quinyon Mitchell up, absolutely. Isaiah Rodgers and Keely Ringo up. I'm good with that, right?
Yeah. Slay is clearly the best corner on that team still, though. I mean, he looked really good. I don't know if his stock is up because he was already good, but He looks really good.
Um,
Keely and Rogers. That's gonna be a good. I wouldn't be able to call that now for anything.
yeah, I'm still sticking with my guns. I said as Isaiah Rogers
I do
before
too.
training camp. Ryan is very much team Keely Ringo. I I just like the fact that you have those guys on the outside and you're taking advantage of Quinyon Mitchell's athleticism and twitch in the slot, and they're kind of going to ramp him up slowly. I think him in the slot and is going to have more impact than maybe a CB2 and Isaiah Rogers or Keely Ringo, who I think project better on the outside anyway, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Yeah, I've been on Rogers all year as well. Ringo, if he has something going for him, it's the fact that they traded a third round draft pick to get him, and they have him for a couple more years where Rogers is on a 1 year deal. But how he's always working, that can change quick.
I'm surprised we had Vontae Maddox neutral. Should he
Because
move
he
up?
was moving to the safety position. He's not even really. He's played some slot corner, but I would say Quinyon has clearly beat him out there.
Yeah. All right. And then we get to safety, CJ and Reed, neutral. Jesus, I don't even know who those guys are.
Yeah, you got Reed and
Let's just move on.
Mekhi Garner. I think they
Mekhi
released
Garner
him.
hasn't really done much, right?
Yeah, they released somebody, Goodrich, I think it was.
Oh, that's Bradbury. We moved Bradbury up. This was the kind of the questionable.
That was Ryan.
Ryan put Bradbury as a stock up.
I mean, compared to everybody what they thought he is. I mean, he does have a legit chance to make the 53-man roster.
All right.
When CJ went out hurt on yesterday in practice, the guy taking the first team reps was Bradbury.
All right, we're gonna keep it as it is. All right, and there is our stock up, stock down watch for the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's jump into our second question of the evening, and I think this is probably going to be a bulk of tonight's show. Top players to watch on Friday night against the Ravens. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go? I don't know who is on your list, but I have at least 5 guys.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think this starts and ends with Nolan Smith. That's the guy I really want to see on Friday make the biggest leap in terms of just how he's utilized by Vic Fangio in this defense and just looking like he belongs. That's what I want to see. Like, I think he's one of the bigger breakout candidates of the Philadelphia Eagles. Everyone was disappointed in how he was utilized under Sean Desai, and he's not a straight up edge rusher. Like, I think he needs to be utilized in more exotic blitzes and more stunts. And that's what I want to see. I'm not expecting Vic Fangio to show us some amazing blitzes with Nolan Smith, but I want to see him kind of be used as a chess piece, a guy that can be put in a position to succeed, whereas athleticism pops. That's what I want to see from Nolan Smith on Friday. What about you, man?
I want to see their first pick. I want to see Quinyon, man. I want to see him out there. I want to see how the speed of the game and the complexity of the NFL, how he processes that, even if it's just for, a quarter or whatever. I'm really looking forward to seeing him. And it's a different role for him out there as well. So I kind of looking forward to that.
Sorry, man. How about Nakobe Dean? Let's talk about Nakobe Dean. I know he's on your list to talk about later, but if there's a guy that needs to prove himself, like, he's got to be on a short list of players for the Eagles. Man, missed some of the OTAs. He's been on the second team defense behind White and Bond pretty much all training camp. You nailed it there. He bulldozed Will Shipley on a blitz. You like to see that. But as I said last night, like, my expectations of Nakobe Dean have dropped so far. Whereas I'm just hoping to see him like kind of be a pass rusher in some respect. I think he can give the Eagles some pass rush in specific blitzes, but I need to see something from Nakobe Dean. He needs to be able to stay on the football field, and he needs to really prove himself that he was worthy of that draft selection. Any thoughts on Kobe Dean?
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. And, he's looked pretty well playing downhill, but he has struggled defensively in coverage. And Fangio says something about, they need production from an inside linebacker. So he's definitely challenging him. He's putting it out there, but he needs some really good outings, or he's never going to wrestle the job away from Zach Bond.
No, I agree. He's definitely on the outside right now. Luffy says Dean's peak was that fourth fumble in the preseason last year. Oh man, like he's just a guy I've been rooting for so long. Just show us something, Nakobe. Next guy up, Johnny Wilson, man. Johnny freaking Wilson. And as we already talked about during the stock watch, Johnny Wilson, 6'6", 99th percentile wingspan. Like you said, David, seems to be strengthening his position to be wide receiver 3 on this team. If I had to guess right now, I think we're going to see the Eagles have a heavy rotation at wide receiver 3 this year, kind of like linebacker. I don't think we're going to have bona fide starters week after week after week. I think it's just going to be fluid all season long. What's your take?
I agree with that completely. Yeah, I think it's 3 guys vying for wide receiver 3 reps. I think it will be like a three-headed monster, including another guy I was going to bring up, Britton Covey, who has looked really good in the slot. Man, now he's not going to be an outside receiver. He doesn't have the size, but he's been very shifty. He keeps getting open, and a combination when you want size and speed, because Johnny Wilson, he's not just tall. The guy can run like 21 miles an hour at GPS in college.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got some wheels too, man.
Next up for me, Jalix Hunt, man. This is a guy that I'm so ready to eat crow on. As I said many times, he wasn't in my top 100. I was surprised when they drafted him due to being a 23-year-old rookie that, is raw and needs at least a year or two to make an impact. And he's been fast at training camp. He's been making an impact. He's a guy that I think could be somewhat of a chess piece for Vic Fangio, almost having plus versatility and odd man front. So it's clear that he's one of Vic Fangio's dudes. Let's see what he's got on Friday. Jalix Hunt, any thoughts?
I agree with all that. I mean, he can dominate blockers. He's got really good speed. I mean, he is a bit undersized, but he gives you everything that you mentioned, and he's very popular amongst the teammates. He's always upbeat. He's running around. I mean, he's willing to learn. So I think the kid could really, really endear himself to the fans and to the team with a good performance.
And last but not least, at least for me, is Will Shipley, another guy that somewhat like Jalix Hunt. He was not nearly on my top of the book, my big board during the draft process at running back, but Will Shipley, like you said, David, has to show me something in pass protection. He's got to show that he belongs on the football field, especially on those third downs. And he's got to be able to guy that can hit outside runs, especially in that zone rushing attack. He's got to be able to catch passes in the receiving game. I want to see Will Shipley get a good amount of touches on Friday, and I think there's a chance we get that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, with all of that. Yeah, because some people worried about his pass pro, but he was pretty decent at it in college, and he's a pretty good receiver. He's another guy who's shifty and can be a problem and hard to tackle at times, but he's the exact kind of player you want to see taking the snaps in a preseason game.
The surprise of the week for me was Nick Sirianni's comp of Danny Woodhead for Will Shipley, who we all know Danny Woodhead was an amazing dual threat running back, 4.3 yards per carry on the ground, 9.0 yards per reception through the air in his career. If for me, I guess my expectations are low, but if Will Shipley can develop into half of a Danny Woodhead, I'll be ecstatic. Any takes on that?
Yeah, I think they could scheme him like that. They are similar in skill sets in some ways. Yeah, I agree with you on that. I hadn't heard that. That's a pretty interesting comp.
Yeah,
And it makes more sense as to why they like him because on draft night when we were doing the draft, I had about 3 running backs ahead of him at that point.
me too.
And again, it's not because I disliked him. I just had, a few other guys ahead of him. But yeah, that's an interesting take. I hadn't heard that.
All right, let's roll on to our next segment of tonight, and that is which Eagles player has the most to gain against Baltimore. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, that's fine. I'm gonna reiterate Johnny Wilson. I think he has the most to gain because he could gain some serious meaningful snaps this season. This is a guy that a lot of people didn't even have making the 53-man roster 3 weeks ago. Thought he was just another sixth round shot in the dark, but the Eagles are really pleased with his development. Again, like I said, Hurts and he have a really good rapport. You can tell they're building a foundation there and a friendship. And I wouldn't count him out. I don't know. I haven't seen him work with the other quarterbacks very much, so I don't know, how he's going to look with Pickett and McKee or Greer, yeah, who I guess could play a lot of snaps as well. But I do think that with the way the offense is set up and with Paris Campbell out, that he is positioning himself to have a much larger role than anyone anticipated.
Was there any glimpse of Johnny Wilson working out with the tight ends when you were there?
No, but he did line up in that quasi kind of tight end, like Jack Stoll kind of role a few times, like on the line
So
for running plays.
my take is like they're not showing that. Like they're not talking about it for a reason. Like I think he's going to be that guy that puts the Eagles in like 11.5 personnel and kind of is that hybrid wide receiver tight end, especially in maybe the red zone and different things like that.
That's a good way to word it, 11 and a half. He adamantly states he is a wide receiver. There is no talk of him transitioning to tight
I think
end.
there is, man. I think it's all a ruse. I definitely think there's
Could
something.
be. I mean, you never know. The Eagles are pretty good at that, so you never know.
All right. My guy with the most to gain is Moro Jomo. Didn't play a lot last year, but he's a guy that I thought did well when he was given the opportunity. He's not an elite athlete by any means, but I think he's got solid quickness off the line. He's got solid arm length. He's a very good run defender, which is exactly what the Eagles need at that DT4 position. He can anchor against double teams. I think he's strictly an early down defensive tackle, especially this year, but I think that solves a big issue for the Eagles' depth at that position. He's probably behind Davis in terms of being a guy that can play a gap and a half role and be a happy medium between single gapping and two gapping. But I think it is so important for the Eagles defense, which is going through a transition year for me at least, to be really successful on early downs this year. And I think as a team overall, I do have some concerns about this run defense, whether that's Vic Fangio's system, the personnel, the edge rushers, you could go on and on, the depth at defensive tackle, the
size.
linebackers.
A little undersized.
Yes, like I think I want to see Moro Jomo take a huge step forward on Friday in his development, and he's got to be that guy. And I think his run defense, we saw it at Michigan. He's good at that, man. He can take on double teams if you need to. So give me Moro Jomo as a guy with the most to gain at a position that I don't think we talk enough about, that I'm concerned about.
No, I agree with you. One thing I like about Fangio is how honest and how much candor he has when he's discussing a player after practices and all. And he mentioned about Ajomo saying that he's on the lighter side as far as defensive, linemen, defensive tackles go, but his athleticism and he, plays so hard and he's so strong. And he said that, he's very coachable and he's just having a very good camp and that he's, pretty much fighting for DT4 right now. So I think he is going to take over that spot. I think they're that big of fans of him, and I agree with you. He ends up a little stout against the run. He's going to be getting a lot more reps than anybody thought.
Yeah. When is Jomo really made for the Fangio system, though? I'm not sure what that means. Do you know what that means?
Is Ajomo really made for the?
Jomo really made for the Fangio system? Probably.
I mean,
not.
I think he's a little light in that regard at DT, but
yeah, he's kind of going to be behind Jordan Davis somewhat.
Right. But the way their scheme is, and Fangio's experience, I think that he can do whatever he wants and make a player fit his defense.
Yep. All right. Let's roll on to our next question. Who is the Eagles player with the most to lose? Do you want to go first or second?
You can go ahead.
Yeah, for me, it's got to be James Bradberry. There's a lot of questions in play. Does he play special teams on Friday? Can he be a reliable tackler to be a safety? Like defensive tackle and tight end that we've talked about, like the Eagles don't have a lot of depth at the safety spot right now with Cooper DeJean still recovering from injury. Bradberry is not only fighting for a spot on the Eagles 53, but he also might be fighting for his career in the NFL going forward. I think it's worth noting that Bradberry was initially recruited by Arkansas State as a safety. He's played there in high school. He's got 615 career NFL snaps in the box, 51 at free safety. And we've seen the Eagles in the past and the Giants, honestly, kind of utilize his size to want to utilize him one-on-one against tight ends in previous years. So we'll see what happens, man. But I think the most to lose has to be James Bradberry, who's fighting for his life.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. He could lose his roster spot, and he knows it. That's
right.
why he.
You're right. Sorry, Noom. It was Texas. I don't know why I said Michigan.
And he put his hand up to change positions to safety because he's fighting to do anything he can with staying on the roster. That's what's most important to him. And tackling was a problem for him, but he's going to have to get a lot better at it. But he hasn't looked bad. I mean, he hasn't stand out, but he hasn't looked bad. But the safeties, with Sydney out, they're really thin.
Yeah, I agree. Cooper DeJean cannot get healthy soon enough, man. I still to this day think that he's going to get his opportunity to start a game or two at safety, and he's just going to blow away expectations. He's going to be there for the foreseeable future.
You could be right. He walked right by me, and I didn't realize how big he was. That kid is jacked, man. They wouldn't let us take pictures or videos at this point because they don't want to show what he's doing or how he's progressing. But he is big. I mean, he is really big. I mean, he is really ripped. I was pretty shocked.
That is literally like the most excited part of this defense. I'm most excited about is Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean. Like, I'm excited that the Eagles are bringing in elite athletes, guys that can play multiple positions. Now we've got Quinyon in the slot. He's dominating. I don't know where Cooper DeJean is going to eventually end the season. I thought it was initially going to be the slot if he had stayed healthy, but I do think he's a safety down the road. But it doesn't matter. Like, with the amount that Fangio runs quarters and nickel, like, they're going to get on the field. I think at the end of the day, you want your best players on the football field, and Cooper DeJean is definitely on the top of the list.
Absolutely, yeah.
He said 2 to 3 weeks for DeJean. I don't think he's practicing yet, but he's out there, right?
Yeah, he's out there. He's doing drills and doing some things, but no, he's definitely not practicing.
All right. And our last question of the evening is, what constitutes a successful preseason opener for the Birds? Do you want this one, or do you want me to take this one?
I think we agree on this. It's just staying healthy. That's it.
Healthy. That's it. That's all I care about. That's all I care about. There are some guys that we talked about tonight. I want their athleticism to pop. Like, the entire point of this offseason was to get younger, faster, more athletic guys. And I think the Eagles accomplished that. And I want to see that translate on Friday. But at the end of the day, it's about keeping Jalen Hurts healthy. Whoever's on that offensive line on Friday night, just stay healthy. Jalen Hurts has looked terrific. And then especially at key positions we just talked about. Linebacker's a spot that I want to feel better about.
No, I agree. That would have been my guy who I think has the most to lose is Nakobe Dean. I mean, I think he's already started losing. I mean, Bond was brought in to be like a hybrid linebacker, and he basically looks like the starter. And again, like I mentioned earlier about how Fangio has been, so honest in his, he addressed, Dean as taking a step back. And that's pretty big indictment on him. So he's got a lot to prove in this game and in the practices the rest of the summer for him to get back into the good graces of everybody, because Fangio wasn't here when they drafted him. He doesn't have any attachment or sentimentality to him.
Yeah. All right. That is our show for tonight. Quick 36-minute show. Shane and Ryan could not be here. They'll be back next week for sure, as we react to everything Eagles versus Ravens and previewing week 2 of the Eagles preseason. Rick chimes in. Is there any chance Nakobe Dean could get cut? I don't think so. I think he's going to be on the team. I think I will agree, Rick. I think he's more out than in at this point. Not in terms of the roster, but like in terms of like getting meaningful snaps, if that makes sense.
And they're just so thin there. I mean, who are you going to get to put in his spot if you cut him? He's cheap.
Idea.
He's cheap. He's affordable. He knows the system. He is a hard worker. It's not from a lack of effort.
Yeah, that is the most homework Vic Fangio is going to have to do with this defense, is putting together the best combination of blitzers, the best combination of guys that can drop back, the best combination of guys that can kind of fit each other. Like, that's going to be really interesting, the pairings of linebackers here. We'll see. I guess Devin White is probably their best in coverage. After that, it's pretty weak. They don't have a lot there. I'm hoping for Dean to succeed too, Rick. And that's why he was on our guys to watch. He has to show us something that he's ready to kind of take his game to the next level. David, final thoughts, plugs, time's yours, man.
Yeah, I'm rooting for Dean. I root for all of these guys. I mean, it's hard for me to accept that Dean was so good in college and just can't get it together in the pros. I think he's had a couple of fluke injuries that have really derailed him. I think he's a very driven guy, and I would be surprised if he doesn't at least show off better than he has. I mean, I think he will improve this year. You can follow everything I do at PHL Eagle News. I released a 53-man roster, some camp notes from this week. Everything's there. You can check it out. And I'm sure you got some more draft stuff coming in.
Oh, absolutely. Last weekend we did top 10 safeties. Some really fun names at the top, guys that the Eagles will never draft because they're probably first rounders. But really fun prospects. Then there's some really fun day 2 guys, and then after that it's kind of early day 3 guys. But I thought it was a really good show in terms of quality at the position. This weekend we're going to do tight ends. Also not great. We're trying to hit the biggest positions of need for the Birds. And tight ends, I think, in my opinion, very similar to last year, where there's some really fun names at the top, kind of like safety, to be honest. And then once you get past the first few names, it's like projects and guys are just like projecting due to athleticism, due to like some measurables and things like that. We've also covered Heisman candidates, top 10. We've also covered defensive linemen, top 10. So we'll kind of keep hitting those key Eagles targets as we get ready for college football season. That's what our shows on Sunday is really about, is Eagles draft targets. We'll also throw in some betting, fun things like that, and compete with each other and hopefully get some interaction with that with the fans.
And what's your gut with Justin Simmons?
Oh, my God. I don't know. The longer this goes, honestly, the more I think I like it for the Birds. I'm shocked that he's not on this team already. It speaks volumes to me that maybe they're waiting for Cooper DeJean. Or
maybe he was waiting. Brown. Maybe he didn't want to do camp for the whole summer.
I mean, that's very possible as well. I would love Justin Simmons. I mean, if you've watched any of our shows in the past, pretty much every segment about which position or which starter on the Birds is not on the roster yet, or anything like that, has always been me pounding the table for Justin Simmons, a guy that I think fits this defense to a T. I would love it. Maybe I hope you're right, man. I hope you're right. Is the fact that there's no rush. Like, they're just kind of taking their time, and he'll sign when he signs, and
I mean, if you're him, why wouldn't you want to be with Fangio and the Eagles, who everybody thinks has a really good chance to make a deep playoff run this year? I mean, it's a good fit for him as well. So I don't know. I'd like to see it happen.
Yeah, there's a clear need.
And for other plugs, Eagles Pinpool Network to download all of the podcasts, not just this one, but there's 3 or 4 other ones on that network as well.
Let me get that. Hold on. Eagles Pin. It is at Eagles Pinpool on X. There's like 6 Eagles shows on there per week. John Stolnis has an amazing podcast where he like kind of reminisces of the great Eagles moments from the past, like 2004 with Terrell Owens. That's on there. We had earlier today on the Shane page with Shane and Johnny breaking down an Eagles mailbag. They're all there, man. It's a great listen if you're a fan of the Philadelphia Eagles. So absolutely go subscribe and make sure you download as much as you can. We're going to be bringing it all season long. Friday, it's going to be really busy. I will be joining Trending in the AM with Phil, talking more Eagles versus Ravens. And then Friday night, me and Shane will be doing an Eagles halftime live for like 10 minutes where we just kind of do quick reactions, adjustments, things like that. And then we'll be doing a post-game, me, Shane, and Ryan Reese will be doing as long as he gets his shit together with his internet. He's having some issues. Rick says Simmons' best seasons. Yeah, I agree, man.
Absolutely.
He was dominant. And we'll be doing a post-game breaking down winners, the Eagles game in 3 words or less. We've got some fun segments planned for all those shows, and we'll be doing it all season long. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And then Sunday, of course, we'll be doing top 10 tight ends if you're a sicko like all of us. That's what we do. Preseason and 2025 NFL draft content, and we're in the grease. We're in the grease of football season. I feel like it's dirty, but we love it, man. So anyway, thank you everyone for watching. He is David at PHL Eagle News. I am Dabs, Mr. Crockpot on X. Thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you on Friday night for post game and halftime. For David, for myself, stay awesome.